Los Angeles, the movie capital, was once where more than 3 million residents found their Hollywood dream. But in 2025, this is the city of more than 75,000 people who couldn't find a place to lie down. Once a promised land where people dreamed of coming in pursuit of aura, lights, and new opportunities, Los Angeles is now turning into a gradual transformation into a living ruin that crushes American dreams. This is no longer a normal crisis. This is the collapse of the system, of humanity, and of the belief that this city will always be the paradise of dreamers. The neighborhoods that once glowed with lights are now reduced to garbage, makeshift tents, and the desperate looks of those who have nowhere to return. In today's video, we will walk through the flashy exterior to look straight at the darkest truth of Los Angeles, which is gradually becoming hell on earth for tens of thousands of homeless people. Once hailed as the capital of light and the American dream, Los Angeles is where people come to pursue opportunity, fame, and the feeling of living their own success story. But today, this very place has become one of the most painful focal points of the homeless crisis, a bitter paradox between brilliant looks and brutal reality. You don't have to go deep into the alleys or the abandoned land to see the collapse. Just turn at an intersection in downtown or drive through the outskirts of Hollywood or Venice, and you'll see that homeless in Los Angeles is no longer a fragmented phenomenon. It's a smoldering pandemic, a huge rift ripping through the American dream between dazzling neon billboards and seemingly vibrant streets. According to the Greater Los Angeles Homeless Report 2025, Los Angeles County currently has about 72,308 homeless people, of which 43,699 are in the city of Los Angeles alone. The 2025 survey marked the second consecutive year of homelessness decline, with a 4% decrease across the county and 3.4% in the city compared to 2024. Although this may seem like a positive signal, the truth remains heartbreaking. More than 70,000 lives still have to wander the streets, facing sun, rain, and indifference. Among them, many families, including children, had to survive on the sidewalks or in makeshift tents, rather than having a real home. This story is not only about the elderly fading away, but also about children who barely had a chance to grow up before being forced to learn how to survive. An incident, such as illness, loss of job, loss of loved ones, is enough to push them to the bottom of despair. Not because they're not trying, but because the way back is blocked by average house prices exceeding $3,500 per month, endless social housing listings, and an almost crippling subsidy system. Local authorities, instead of solving it at the root, consider removing hundreds of temporary tents each month as a victory. In fact, homeless people are just being pushed elsewhere, losing all their belongings, memories, and sense of security. The problem still exists, has never disappeared. What makes a city that once lit up hope now a place where dreams are wiped out among urban waste? If this can happen in Los Angeles, which was once considered a symbol of the American dream and hope for every generation of, then is there still a place in America that we can really call home? Unlike many other states where homeless tent camps are concentrated, Los Angeles regularly conducts cleanup campaigns in residential areas. As a result, homeless people are forced to drift to the edges, living temporarily on street corners, on sewers, in road tunnels, even in the tree. In South LA, a treehouse made of waste wood, string, and nets picked up from the construction site has become a famous story. That home was completely built from scavenged materials at a nearby homeless camp. Inside, there is a mezzanine and a closed sleeping area, enough for him to stay for a long time, like a lost bird, quietly hiding his existence in the middle of a bustling city. The process of building a house is also creative. From the temporary ladder and tarpaulin, the house gradually forms into a small private space, no address, no door, just a temporary room but with full basic living amenities. Having had a stable job and a decent income, he lived a life that many people admired. But after just one incident, one misplaced trust, things fall apart. He lost his job, his house, and his position in society. Now, he lives on a treetop, sometimes feeling like he's treated like he's not human. Even though the old treehouse was dismantled by the authorities, he is still rebuilding a new house, patiently recreating his own home. After the video about the viral house, many people commented, "He looks resourceful." Maybe you can use that skill to get a job. But perhaps few people know that, in LA, opportunities have never been available to everyone, especially those who already have nothing left. Homeless stories are no longer unfamiliar stories, just for anyone. They have become a painful problem, a wave of crises ready to wash away the roof along with the entire dream of a person who once had a fulfilling life. According to February 2025 statistics, there are approximately 26,972 homeless people without shelter living outdoors in the city of Los Angeles. Shelters are often full, forcing hundreds of people to find gaps for temporary shelter every night. It's paradoxical that in a city with free Wi-Fi and food delivery drones, there are still people who have to search Walmart's trash can and temporarily sleep on tree branches. Those birds without nests never flew to Texas to ask for anything. They used to live here, used to work here. They are just left out of the noiseless system. No one defends them. No one remembers their names. And perhaps the most haunting thing is that no one can say for sure that tomorrow the person who has to find a tree branch to temporarily sleep will not be you or a relative of your family. If even the mainland no longer has room for a human, where will the American dream, in the end, still reside? On a strip of land close to Highway 405, the Van Nuys, Los Angeles area once had a large homeless camp where dozens of people sought to survive every day in the bustling city. For many residents and businesses around, the camp is a worrying hotspot, but for those who live here, it's a makeshift nest where they can keep what little left over from previous life. One morning in 2025, the city cleared the camp, bringing police forces, city staff, and social organizations to the scene. The atmosphere was tense, difficult conversations and minor conflicts took place from the beginning. This is not the first time. This camp has encountered a number of safety incidents, from fires to fire hazards due to cooking with lithium-ion batteries, propane tanks, or butane, which are almost mandatory survival items in need. The administration has proposed a temporary solution: accommodation at several motels, meals, and support services through the mayor's Inside Safe program. Some homeless people are concerned about leaving the camp, afraid of losing what they have accumulated, from personal belongings, memories, to a sense of security, though temporary. They are also afraid that these shelters are unsustainable, and when they return to the streets, they will have to start from scratch. As a result, a small portion agreed to receive support, while a few activists were detained during the clearance process. This number suggests a paradox. People who just want to survive and protect their lives are sometimes seen as criminals or illegal in the eyes of society. The story at Van Nuys reflects a broader reality. In the midst of a rich city with free Wi-Fi, fast food delivery services, there are still people who have to sleep outdoors, cook in the trash, or sleep temporarily in an old car to survive day after day. They used to be citizens with jobs, families, and are now left out of the system, with no one defending them, no one remembering their names. Possible solutions need to be combined: sustainable social programs, affordable housing, and partnerships with major brands such as Home Depot, IKEA, or Walmart, providing basic building materials, temporary beds, and assisted living. This not only helps improve living conditions, but also provides opportunities for them to reintegrate into the community instead of just existing in the dark. If even people trying to find life are considered criminals, then in modern society, Do we still have enough space for weak people to exist with dignity? And if policy and community do not act, who will stand up for them? Or will we continue to look away? Los Angeles, the city of light and opportunity, was once the place people dreamed of to build new lives, to make the American dream come true. But in 2025, that picture is being painted in gloomy colors. House prices are sky high, living costs are escalating, and opportunities for to rise to are becoming increasingly limited. For thousands of residents, especially those who lost their jobs or had personal events, the American dream seemed to be paying the price with their very survival. The average family, once in a stable job, now faces average rents exceeding $3,500 per month. They have no choice but to cede the apartment to someone with a higher income, or move to live temporarily in temporary tents, old cars, or overcrowded shelters. Children who once grew up feeling safe must now learn to survive on the street, and the older generation no longer believes that old age provides protection. While the city continuously implements support programs, from public kitchens to shelter services, these measures are not enough to address the fundamental crisis. Many shelters are always full, forcing hundreds of people to find gaps to sleep overnight. Temporary programs are sometimes just like patch tape on a big crack, which is no substitute for real roofs. The city also applies campaigns to clean up tents, removing hundreds of temporary areas every month. However, these actions do not erase the problem, but only push people to wander elsewhere, losing all their belongings, memories, and sense of security, a recurring tragedy. Meanwhile, modern amenities such as public Wi-Fi, drone delivery services, and other convenient technologies are still present around, emphasizing the harsh paradox. A city rich and strong, but there is no more room for the weak to exist. People living in this situation not only face cold, heat, and basic deprivation, they also suffer social judgment when poverty is seen as a personal choice or sin. Young families, lonely elderly people, or individuals who have had stable jobs all become invisible in a seemingly vibrant city. Sustainable solutions need to combine multiple sides: affordable housing, stable support services, and partnerships with major brands such as Home Depot, IKEA, or Walmart, providing construction materials, temporary beds, and basic living equipment. These initiatives not only help people have safe havens, but also open up opportunities to reintegrate into the community, instead of just existing in darkness and being left out of the system. If the price for an American dream is paid by safety, old age, and family stability, then do we still dare to dream, or just accept living in a society where opportunities are not for everyone? And if the system is not strong enough to protect weak people, who will stand up to protect them? Or do we just continue to ignore them, like we have never seen them? For those who have lost their homes in Los Angeles, relocation is not a natural or simple step. It's like betting on a lucky number in a game where almost everyone loses. Many homeless people have spent months, even years, wandering the streets, from makeshift tents in downtown to old cars in the suburbs, and even nooks and crannies that have never been exposed to light. When resettlement opportunities arise, it is often accompanied by a series of paperwork requirements, income checks, and difficult conditions that many people cannot meet. In fact, social housing programs, resettlement projects, or temporary shelters often have endless waiting lists, and not everyone is lucky enough to receive a spot. Many families, after experiencing job loss, illness, or family rift, struggle with paperwork, proof of minimum income, and security conditions that are almost impossible to achieve. A person who once had a stable income and private apartment now has to live temporarily in an old car or temporary tent. When a support program appears, they must consider whether to leave the place where they built a temporary home with few items, memories, and feelings of security. The fear of losing what has been there is sometimes greater than the hope of a stable life. leading many to refuse or delay resettlement. The picture becomes even more tragic when many shelters and support programs provide only short-term shelter, which is not enough to help people reintegrate into society. Young families, lonely elderly people, or individuals who have had stable jobs, even if they try their best, still have to accept living in temporary tents, old cars, or even under bridges, where everyday passes are a battle to survive. The solution needs a long-term vision, incorporating public, private parties, and the involvement of major brands such as Home Depot, IKEA, Walmart, providing building materials, makeshift beds, and supporting the installation of affordable housing infrastructure. These initiatives not only help people have safe shelter, but also open up opportunities to learn a trade, reintegrate into the community, and regain confidence in their ability to build a stable life. When resettlement is more difficult than winning the lottery, can a society be proud when the majority of people do not have equal opportunities to build a life? If tomorrow you or a loved one falls into that situation, will anyone still help? Or does everything just depend on luck? As makeshift tents, old cars and underbridges become temporary roofs, many homeless people place their hope in shelters, which are considered the ultimate lifesaver. But in Los Angeles, these shelters are not always safe places. Many facilities are overcrowded, living conditions are unsanitary, and sometimes there are conflicts between residents, making shelters that are intended to protect people another concern. A night in the shelter can turn into a nightmare. Screams from common rooms, the arrival of unscreened people, and enclosed spaces make feelings of isolation more serious. The elderly, single women and children are the most vulnerable groups, facing the risk of harassment, personal insecurity, or simply insufficient protection in emergency situations. Many homeless people say they feel abandoned even when entering shelters because they do not provide long-term stability, temporary beds, limited meals, and short stays. Strict regulations, paperwork requirements, or background checks make it inaccessible to many people. As a result, they still choose to return to the Venice Street where, despite the danger, the procedure is at least less complicated and retains some freedom. This situation also reflects a reality. Even well-organized assistance programs are unlikely to meet the needs of the more than 70,000 homeless people in the region. The lack of facilities, human resources, and long-term planning makes shelters temporary but not safe enough and cannot help people reintegrate into society. The solution requires a strong combination of government agencies, communities, and major brands such as Home Depot, IKEA, and Target involved in providing temporary beds, construction materials, and infrastructure support safety. These initiatives not only ensure safer shelters, but also facilitate apprenticeships, skills enhancement, and community reintegration, helping people no longer be left behind. When even shelters that are considered the ultimate shelter are not safe, can a society boast fair care for all residents? If tomorrow you or a loved one falls into that situation, will anyone stand up for it, or will everything just depend on luck? In Los Angeles, living on the streets is not only a matter of survival, but is also often considered illegal. Large cities, when faced with temporary tents that have sprung up along the freeway or residential areas, often carry out homeless camp cleanups, citing public safety or urban order. But for many people, this is no different from being punished for not having shelter. Many camps were set up because there was no other choice. Elderly people, single women and children still face temporary or uninhabited shelters, and any basic living action, from cooking, keeping warm, to erecting a roof, can all be considered a violation. In this context, homeless people are vulnerable to police inspection, punishment, or even detention, even though they are not literally guilty of a crime. The irony is that in a city seen as a symbol of opportunity and creativity, people who once had jobs, were once part of a community, now face criminalization for their existence. Many people even share that feelings of isolation, Constant surveillance and being pushed away from the center cause them to live in a state of constant stress, increasing the risk of illness and mental disorders. To change this situation, it is necessary for a combination of the government, the community, and major brands such as Home Depot, IKEA, Walmart, to participate in supporting safe temporary home construction materials, beds, community kitchens, and life skills training program. These initiatives can help the homeless to restore some of their human rights, maintain their safety, and prepare for their long-term reintegration into society. When society puts a question mark on a person's right to exist simply because they have no shelter, can we be proud that we are protecting all citizens? If tomorrow you or a loved one falls into that situation, who will stand up to protect you from breaking the law just because live? Los Angeles, which was once hailed as the capital of light and the American dream, now seems to be at a crossroads with no clear way out. As you pass through once busy streets, neon signs still glare, but the sight of long tents, abandoned old cars, and lines of people looking for shelter has become a familiar reality. Complicating matters, the average home price exceeds $3,500 per month, social housing listings last indefinitely, and support programs remain limited or unstable. Working people who had hoped for temporary solutions now realize that resettlement was harder than winning the lottery, and that the opportunity to live in a safe environment was almost exclusively for those with strong resources. Recent developments also show that as homeless camps are cleared, people do not lose poverty. They are only moved away, losing furniture and temporary stability. The story of Los Angeles is not only a fractured urban symbol, but also a social judgment for the unfortunate, no matter what they have contributed to the community. In the face of this picture, there is a need for solutions that are on track and long-term, that not only temporarily clean up, but actually restructure life opportunities and support people. Big brands like Home Depot, IKEA, Walmart can play a key role, from providing safe temporary home construction materials, beds, community kitchens, to life skills training programs, job opportunities, and reintegration support. These initiatives, if implemented synchronously, could help Los Angeles restore some hope, turning the days of living in temporary tents into a stepping stone towards a more stable life. As the city that was once a symbol of the American dream falls into a picture of every street and every neighborhood becoming a picture of hopelessness, can we rest assured that the future will not repeat these tragedies? If we or our loved ones fall into a situation of living on the streets, who will stand up for the right to exist and live as real people? Los Angeles, once a symbol of light, opportunity, and hope, now appears as a sad symphony of abandoned tents, cars, and forgotten people. More than 72,000 lives still struggle with the sun, rain, and indifference of the system. Stories about old people, children, nestless bird, living in trees or old cars are not only heartbreaking realities, but also reflections of modern society, where opportunity, safety, and protection are no longer obvious. Temporary policies, camp cleaning, or shelter arrangements sometimes only create the illusion of solutions, while people living on the streets are still pushed away, losing furniture and stability. The harsh reality is, many efforts are unfinished, and the real opportunity for those who built this city has yet to emerge. If one day we or our loved ones fall into a situation of living on the streets, will anyone still stand up for it? And where will the American dream reside? If you've ever witnessed a similar situation where you live, please share the story in the comments section. Don't forget to click like so many others can see this problem, and click subscribe to accompany us on our journeys of discovery, analysis, and reflection on the hidden corners of American society today. Because only when we speak up together will hope not be forgotten. The content in this video was built with the purpose of analyzing, discovering, and providing information based on public data sources, reports, and actual stories recorded. We do not provide legal, financial, or medical advice, nor do we hold any particular person, entity, or administration responsible. Some of the figures, stories, and examples mentioned are general or illustrative and may change over time and circumstances. Viewers are encouraged to consult further official sources, authorities, or competent experts if they wish to delve deeper or need specific solutions. All images, quotes, and content in the video are intended to evoke social reflection and discussion, not for sensational or inflammatory purposes. The views expressed in the video do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any of the organizations involved. Thank you for following with an open mind and accompanying in your quest for truth, sympathy, and hope.